If you've been told, or your partner's been told, that you can heal a sex addiction in 6 weeks or over 2 weekends, that's a misunderstanding of what addiction really is. And it's not how healing works. It's one of the reasons people stay stuck longer than they need to. I'm a therapist who specializes in sex addiction and betrayal trauma, and I've worked with this for a long time. It makes sense to me why these promises are appealing. Because when something has disrupted your life, your relationship, and your sense of self, you want relief, you want change, and you want it yesterday. The problem isn't that people want relief. The problem is the promise that something as complex as compulsive sexual behavior can be resolved quickly. Because addiction isn't just a behavioral problem. It's a regulation problem. It's a relational problem. And it's often trauma-based adaptation. So the behavior, whether that's pornography, secrecy, acting out, it isn't random. It's doing something. It's regulating something. At its core, addiction is a maladaptive coping behavior. It's something your brain and body learn to do to deal with something that felt overwhelming, unsafe, or unmet. For a lot of people, that includes things like shame, loneliness, emotional neglect, or not having a place where their emotions could be expressed or received. When a program focuses only on stopping the behavior without addressing what the behavior is helping you cope with, we're not actually treating the problem. It's only treating the symptom. And this is where I see people get stuck. Many programs focus on what we call first order change, changing the behavior, learning to stop the behavior, avoid triggers, add accountability, and put structure in place. And those things matter, especially early on, but they're not sufficient for long-term recovery. I've worked with clients who have gone through these programs. They come out with insight, they understand their patterns, and they can often name their triggers. And for a moment, it feels like, okay, I'm fixed. But then life happens, bringing with it stress, conflict, disconnection, and the same internal experience comes back online. If nothing has been addressed, if the underlying issues or core issues haven't been addressed, the addictive behavior often comes back too. If we look at the definition of addiction, it includes words like tolerance, which is needing more or different experiences to get the same effect, and continued use despite negative consequences. So even when someone's relationship is at risk, or you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, when there's real loss, real impact, the behavior continues, which tells us this isn't just a matter of willpower. Real healing requires second order change. Not just changing what you do, but changing the system underneath it. That means looking at how you regulate your emotions, how you relate to yourself, how you tolerate distress, and what the behavior has been helping you manage. You can create first order change relatively quickly, but second order change is what actually creates lasting recovery. Because if addiction is how you learn to cope, then healing isn't just about stopping the behavior. It's about asking, what is this behavior helping me not feel? What need is it trying to meet? And what didn't I have that I needed? You can't heal a coping strategy without healing what made it necessary. And here's why this takes time. Because now we're talking about something different. We're talking about learning how to regulate your nervous system, increasing your capacity to stay present in discomfort, building new ways of relating to yourself and others, and having different experiences repeatedly over time. You can't rush that process. This doesn't mean those programs are useless. They can create awareness. They can interrupt denial. And they can help people begin to see the pattern. But they're not the full process. They're the beginning. This is also how I think about the work that I offer. I don't approach this as something to fix quickly. The online workshops that I run are focused, but not in a quick fix way. They're focused in a, this is where we're going deeper way. So instead of trying to solve everything at once, we might focus on something like moving beyond relapse. Or once sobriety has stabilized, we begin to look at attachment patterns in what I call breaking free from attachment wounds, moving from reactivity and disconnection to a more secure way of relating. And I do that work in an online group format because there's something really powerful about not doing this in isolation. To experience the connection of hearing your experience reflected in other people and recognizing parts of yourself in their stories. It's not a replacement for therapy. It's meant to support it. So people take what they're learning, what they're noticing, and what's getting activated, and they bring that back into their individual therapy. That's where the work deepens. We're not trying to override the nervous system. We're trying to understand it and work with it, building awareness, regulation, and new relational experiences so that change actually has somewhere to land. Because the goal isn't, did I stop the behavior as fast as possible? The goal is, am I becoming someone who doesn't need the behavior in the same way anymore? Healing doesn't happen because you understand more. Healing happens when your body, your emotions, and your relationships learn something new. I know it's hard to hear that this takes time, but slow doesn't mean you're failing. Slow often means you're finally doing the kind of work that lasts. If this resonates, I talk about this here and in the workshops I offer that focus on different parts of the recovery process and are designed to support the work people are already doing in therapy. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.